Well, hey, cool cats and kittens. It's Chef Terry, Main Course Cooking School. Welcome. We are going to get started in just a couple of seconds, 30 seconds or so, with Japanese milk bread. If you have any questions, just type them out. Chef Lawrence is on the computer today instead of me, so he is there to answer any questions you have. Welcome, everybody. We are making Japanese milk bread today, or shokupan, as it's called in Japan. It's very close, very similar to what we know of as brioche, except it's missing a pound of butter and maybe 7 or 8 more eggs. But it's absolutely delicious. It holds its moisture. It stays fresh for longer than a week. So it's not going to last that long. This will go home with me and last about 4 hours, and then we'll have to make another one. I'm going to walk you through all of the history. If you're trying to work with me, you're going to find that I'm jumping around. So time is circular today. I have already made this loaf this morning at my house. In our proofing oven, we have a dough that I made earlier when I got here today. It's on its second rise. So that has all taken about 90 minutes. And so we don't have 90 minutes. And I don't want to talk for 90 minutes. So I would say something really bad. And then the other things, then we will show you how to form it. This is called the traditional mountain style because it has 3 peaks. Or you can make this into dinner rolls, just exactly like you would do with any other kind of roll. You would make a ball and you would put it into a tin. So you're not limited if you don't have a loaf pan. You can make this in any form you want without any sort of pan. Make them into dinner rolls, hamburger rolls. They would be absolutely incredible as hamburger rolls because they have a little bit of sweetness to them. So an intro to this, people are asking, where did Japanese bread come from? Milk bread, where did it come from? How did it start? Well, the technique started in Japan long time ago. And there it is called, as I said, it's called shokupan in Japanese, but this technique is called the yudane, which just means a water roux. It's a water bread. So it starts out, you'll see we're going to make a roux with equal parts flour and water. Add some milk to that. We're going to cook it until that gelatinizes, one of my favorite culinary terms, or I guess it's science too. That means it's going to hold on to that moisture. It's going to suck in all of that moisture, and it's going to stay when it's incorporated into the bread dough itself. Then, let's see, then we're going to cook it. It's very simple, and as I said, it's going to last for a long time, so you can eat little bits of it at a time. So what I'd like to do now is I would like to make in Chinese it's called a tangshu. In Japanese, it's called the yudane. So what we have, small pot. Remember I sent you an email out or a message out this morning that you're going to need a small pot. And into that small pot, we have 2 tablespoons of bread flour. You can use all-purpose flour. You can't use a gluten-free flour, but you can use an all-purpose flour. Pastry flour wouldn't work. Cake flour wouldn't work. None of that has the protein structure like bread flour does. If you use all-purpose flour, you're not going to get a rise like this, but it will work. So into your 2 tablespoons of bread flour, we're adding 4 tablespoons of whole milk and 2 tablespoons of water. Before you start the fire, let's get this mixed together. You can use a whisk for this, but it's going to get stuck in the sides of the pan. You may as well use a spatula in the beginning. Just makes life so much easier. You can use your whisk. Yeah. So see, we just have a kind of lumpy, but we just have a very milky, creamy mixture. But that's going to change very quickly. We're going to start our stove going. I always do the wrong burner. And do not walk away from this. This takes 30 seconds at the most. Like I said, we're heating it up. I forget what the Fahrenheit degree is, but it's 67 degrees Celsius. Flour and its moisture and whatever liquid it has with it gelatinizes. So we're just going to keep this going, keep it stirring until it reaches that point. Overnight it? Okay, Mom, I will. So, and if I have a nephew watching today, a very, very, very special happy birthday to you. Sorry that I missed it. But then if Grandma gets this, then you can have some of it too. She'll send it to you through the door or window or something. So you see that it's already getting thick. So if you can pull the little French culinary action here, if you can pull across and you see the silver of the pan and it stays, that means you're at what's called nappe stage, just means to coat. But now you see almost immediately it went from nappe to glue. And this is exactly what we want. Take that, if you're using an electric stove, take that off that burner immediately and let that cool down. We don't have to let it cool down too terribly quickly, or long, sorry, because we are going to go ahead and add in the rest. This is now going to become a sponge, like you are probably, if you're a bread maker, you know sponge. So, and I'm gonna spill my milk, more than likely. Nope. So we have a half a cup of whole milk. We have, well, I have my 1/4 cup of sugar all together. You don't want all of this in here, just do half. Because this is also going to get our yeast. And you don't want to overwhelm your yeast with sugar. It becomes an environment where they don't, they love sugar. That yeast is, let me move my thing down and I'll let you know, 1 tablespoon of yeast. So we have our tanchu, which was 2 tablespoons of bread flour, 2 tablespoons of water, and 1/4 cup or 4 tablespoons of whole milk. That's gonna get added. This is nasty, yeah, it's not very pretty. I don't wanna break up too many of these little curds because that's the gelatinized flour. And to this, I'm going to just very quickly put it on my spoon, touch. It's not too terribly hot. That cold milk really brought it down. But we know that yeast wants it warm, but it can't be over 100 degrees. I'm going to crack my egg, flat surface always, pull apart into your sponge or your biga. And I am going to move over to a whisk now. And just, like I said, don't go too crazy. We don't want to break it up too terribly much. But what we do want to do now is make our yeast happy. So again, this is a tablespoon of yeast. Seems like a lot of yeast, but now this is what's called an enriched dough. And so it needs a little bit more yeast than you would probably think. And so just sprinkle that over the top and let it be happy and let it do its thing. And so you should have 2 tablespoons of sugar left. And that is just, I'll put it here so I don't forget it. It just goes over with your dry ingredients that are going to be for the dough itself. Yeah, I know I'm going fast, but let's talk about what happened, what we've done. So we have made the tanchu or the yadune, and with that, how we did that, we started with 2 tablespoons of bread flour. Like I said, all-purpose flour could work, but you're not going to get the rise that you were expecting. And then 2 tablespoons of water, so equal parts. And then we had 4 tablespoons of whole milk. A non-animal milk would work, but the texture, and you'll see the texture at the end, the texture's not going to be the same. You're not going to get that feathery texture that you're kind of hoping for, I think. So then mix that together, it became a thick glue. Immediately take that off the heat. Then the next thing you're going to do is going to cool it down with a 1/2 cup of whole milk. If it's room temperature, all the better, just cools it down a little slower. I added an egg, mixed that together, and I added 2 tablespoons or half of the sugar that you've gotten ready. Okay? Mixed it together, added my yeast. Now the yeast is just sitting here in its nice hot bath and it's blooming. And that's where we are. So, next step is we're going to add it to our dry ingredients. So, This way. Okay, so this is the fun part. So notice I've not put our KitchenAid together yet because I'm going to use the dough hook for my own purposes. We have 2.5 cups of flour, or, and this is important, it's 320 grams of flour. When I made mine, it was less than 2.5 cups, and then this one was right at 2.5 cups for 320. So always measure your flour, weigh your flour. Okay? And into that, we are going to add the rest of our sugar. 2 tablespoons of sugar. And I forget the exact amount, a 3/4 teaspoon of salt. It is a sweet dough, but trust me, if you don't have that flour in there, it's not going to taste like anything. It's just going to be sweet and have no flavor. So now I mix that. Let me get my spatula, and we are going to add our rather unattractive mixture. But we don't want those lumps gone because that's going to be what holds all this moisture in, and it's going to get mixed really well. Okay. So pretty clean. It's not the end of the world if it's not. That clean again. Now this, you can do this by hand. So, you know, and you've probably done this if you've used a dough hook. It takes it forever to really start incorporating all of that dry ingredient. Right. So that took a couple of seconds. And you can see it's dry, but we are now going to put it on the machine. Oh, my love for Japanese milk bread. Like any chef, I'm constantly reading, watching what's going on. And a couple of years ago, it became really popular from Bon Appetit, Epicurious, even online at kingarthur.com or kingarthurflour.com. And they have the modified version of this. I've never had it in any store, restaurant, or anything, but I wanted to taste it because I do love bread. And this is so similar to brioche that I wanted to try it. So you'll see immediately that starts to come together. If for some reason you have really bad sticking at this point inside your bowl, add just a couple of teaspoons, or maybe start with a teaspoon of flour into the bottom of the bowl itself and see if that helps. Or you can add, if it's too dry, if this was just not coming together to any sort of cohesiveness, you would add just, again, a teaspoon of milk at a time until you get a dough that looks like this. I didn't do anything special. I mean, it's coming together, which is making me extremely happy, but I didn't do anything special except weigh the things that I needed to weigh. You could hand mix this. Up to this point, this will be no trouble at all to hand mix, but I have to tell you that the next stage is to add our butter. And so, let me say, I always have to look, 3 tablespoons, but this is something that I measured. This is 42 grams of butter, okay? So, when we bake, we like to be very, very specific. When you add this in, it's going to completely destroy all of the good work you've done for about 4 minutes. But it's going to incorporate this butter. So I need to warm it up a little bit. And all you have to do to warm it up is get it nice and messy in your hand. That's the best part. And just drop it in. And I'm dropping it in about a teaspoon at a time. But if Chef Antoinette can get in and see the bowl, you'll see that it's slowly starting to work that butter into the dough. And that dough is going to start to disintegrate. It's going to start to fall apart and lose its cohesion, but that's perfectly fine because it will come back together. Just keep adding very small amounts of butter at a time, and you'll see the bowl is starting to smear with butter and also with the dough. Again, it's fine. You're not losing anything. And So let's let that go. If you're at a KitchenAid, yes, you should be at about 2 on speed 2. We will take this up to 4. But you see how you're getting lumps and clumps of flour instead of just that beautiful ball that you had. We're going to make it even worse because we still have about half of our butter to add to it. And this is the fun part, and if you're letting your kids help you today, then the only thing you have to worry about, make sure that your machine is locked so it doesn't pop up on you, and make sure that when they're pinching in the butter that they keep their hands outside of the bowl at all times. These machines are meant to do lots of heavy work, and a finger or a hand is nothing. So it won't stop working if you've got your fingers and hands in there, okay? So, but butter is incorporated. I'm going to wipe the butter off my hands, and you'll see that it's starting to, we've got a nice mass again. Nothing to worry about. And as soon as this comes together, I'm going to turn the mixer up to 4, and I'm going to let it go for about 7 minutes. We're not going to sit here or stand here for 7 minutes, I promise, and just watch this happen. But if you can see, it's starting to, everything is holding on together, it's sticking to itself. So let's turn it up, and we're going to wait for 7 minutes, but we have lots of other things we can do. So, in my proving oven, so I think it proved. So, proving means, hey, did it work? Is there proof that that yeast worked? Yeah, this yeast worked really, really, really well. So, as soon as I put it on the table, it started to deflate a little bit, but that's fine. And I have to be honest with you, this might be a little over-proved, but that's not the end of the world. The texture might not be great, but what I want you to do is take a finger, flour, and poke. And if you can bring your finger out and it stays, you know that it's proofed just perfectly, okay? Now comes the fun part. Do not flour your board. If you have a butcher block counter, marble counter, anything will work. It'll work just fine. So just pull it out. Okay? And I'm going to try to clean this out. If you have a plastic dough scraper, all the better. You get everything you want from that. And now again, that has proved twice. The first time you double it, takes about an hour. If you don't have a proving oven, tell you what I did at home this morning. We had laundry that needed to be finished, so I put them in the dryer. I made my dough, I stuck it in a covered bowl, and I put it on top of the dryer, covered it with a towel, and it worked absolutely perfectly. So, again, if you don't have a proving oven, just find a nice warm spot. That's all it takes. It depends on the heat that you've got your room. If you are in a proving oven at 100, 110 degrees, it's going to take no more than 45 minutes each time. But if you're just in a room and it's, well, in my house it was 67 degrees this morning, so nothing was going to prove at 67 degrees. So that's the reason I did the dryer trick. And it took about an hour each time. I couldn't hear Chef. Chef's got notes. Oh yeah, if it's in the summertime, proof out on the porch, proof in the garage, unless, it's Texas in August, and then you're just gonna cook it. So, I don't know why I went over there, sorry. I'm coming over here. I need a knife. So I need to divide the dough. So, and this is where things get a lot of fun. So, a fish spatula would work great. Yeah. So anything to cut, that's all. And I'm not going to weigh this or anything. It came out to be 628 grams when I did this at home. It was almost 666 and I was a little afraid. But the scale sort of worked itself out. So I'm just going to visually divide this into 3, and I always have to look, make my little indentions, and then go from there. Okay. There we go. Keep going. Now this is where it is different from just a traditional American or European loaf of bread. And I can see that this one's going to be small, so I'm going to take a little bit of dough from this. When you are getting this ready, you have any scraps, you're going to put them what's going to be the underside. So then turn your dough upside down, bring the top down to the bottom, right? So you have a hot air balloon looking thing or some sort of sea creature. Okay? And if you watched the tortilla video, you'll know all about the hand. So what we want to do is we want to create a nice taut skin. So fingers go on either side, thumb and pinky. The other fingers go as a cage on the top, and just rotate. And then these fingers are going to be pulling the dough down. If your hands are nice and small, all you have to do is the same thing, but you're using two hands and just push in. You want your pinkies to meet on the bottom. Okay. Keep that going. Set that one aside. This one looks like it's going to be a little bit bigger, so I'm going to take some off of it as well. Just tuck it in under the other one, and then start tucking that top down. You've got your little sea creature, your hot air balloon down on the board. Again, no flour, otherwise you're not going to be able to make a ball. It's just going to be too smooth. Bring that clockwise, counterclockwise, whatever works for you. But those pinkies come together underneath and you're sliding, and that's building that tension on the top. Oh, great. Okay, 1, 2. That means that you guys, we get to proof two things at one time. So, but we're actually almost done with any of the active parts of this. Okay? And you see, if you do it in real time, it takes that long. That's all it takes. This one's still a little too small. I don't want to get that gluten too crazy, but I do want them to be pretty even. So again, I ripped from here, I'm putting it underneath, pinch it up, pull the ball around. There we go. So again, we're going for that traditional mountain shape. So this is where things get a lot of fun. I'm going to turn this off. So this is where it gets fun. We need to make a rectangle at about 1 centimeter. Okay? So I had lots and lots of rolling pins to choose from, but today I really just wanted the good old-fashioned roly pin. Okay? So there you go. Easy. So now, this is to get you ready so whenever we do like a laminated dough class, you'll be ready. We're going to do the business letter fold. So we want to take our dough into thirds, bring the top third down, bring the bottom third up. You have an envelope. Okay. Turn it 90 degrees, flatten it. This is where things get fun. I'm going to roll it towards you, and you just roll it into a nice tight ball, or not a ball, but it's a cinnamon roll. It's exactly what it is. Now this dough is already nice, and it's sticky, but it's not tacky. It's not going to be sticking to anything but itself. Okay, so we have one. Now this is kind of an important thing, and you notice that the spiral is going this way. And what we want to do is we want it to match the direction of the side of the pan. So this one's going this way, so it goes on that side. Okay? The next one, and let's actually do this one. That one is bigger still, so we're going to put it in the middle so we have like mountains like that. Okay? Roll the dough out. Don't be rough with it. I was being a little rough with it there, and I noticed that it was starting to tear. We don't want that. Okay? Again, try to make as much of a rectangle as you can, but actually, let's just leave it like a pita bread, and I'll show you. If the rolling pin didn't do what you wanted to do it with your hands. Okay? It's a really beautiful, easy to use dough. Okay? the pan is greased, yes. If you don't grease your pan, you're going to be very sad. Yes, always grease everything that you can to ensure that it comes out. After that second proof, you saw that my bowl, it was really sticking to the bowl. Some of that was because it proofed too long, but also because I didn't re-grease it. So, all those little things, keep everything greased like you think you should. You ready? We're going to make our little snail. Hey, Denise, my sister is here. Well, yeah. I mean, didn't we all? Okay. My sister's reminding us that we used to make cinnamon rolls at 3 in the morning, but who didn't do that? So, again, we're going this way with our spiral, so it's going to want to go this way. So let it go that way into your pan. And so we have, now see, it doesn't take up all of this pan yet. Okay? Yes, this is all after the second proof. So at first proof, yeah, I have to jump around because otherwise it would be lovely, but we would be spending almost 3 hours together today. And a lot of that was me taking a shower, getting here, playing with the dogs, all those kind of things. Bread making is about 10% active time, 90% waiting around. So, which is kind of why I like it. Oh yeah, this will be on Facebook, and it will, we have a YouTube channel, Main Course Cooking School. Just go to YouTube. I'm not great at things like that. Go to YouTube and type in Main Course Cooking School. You don't, yeah, and that's where we are. So, and we have, I think, 4 videos. It might even be 5 at this point. But you see, notice that already this one's bigger. This is the bigger dough, bigger dough ball. But we always want to give ourselves the most chance of success, so make it into a rectangle. One more time. Business letter fold. Right. Then back over. Stretch that a little bit so it matches. Turn it 90 degrees. And roll it. And roll it tightly. Don't skimp on a good roll. Okay? So this one looks really silly, I'll admit. So before it gets too set, let's fix that. And here's the problem, is that I didn't get it completely even. So I'm going to do what I can to even this out, without destroying my dough, and then just bring it back together. Okay? So I'm going to flatten it just a little bit. Okay, now give it a roll. There. And if you notice what I did, good for you. If not, then it was my own little secret. I was pushing the dough out as I rolled it so that I knew that it would be much more even. Again, dough is very, 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 very forgiving if you are following the right procedures. So, there's a nice one. This is going to be the big mountain. There's no bearing as to which direction this one goes. I'm just going to put it in this way because it's the pretty side, and everybody likes to see something pretty. Okay, and here's our pan again. Notice that the dough only comes up to about a quarter from the top. And according to this is a 9x5 pan. That's what I made the dough that you saw in the beginning in. And I'm going to find my plastic, because you always cover the dough that you are allowing to rise. Otherwise you will get a crust on the top, and that will inhibit any rising after that. But in the oven, you'll get nasty crusts and gross things. So just keep it a little slack so that if it does touch it, it'll rise. The pan was already greased. These are full of butter now, so they're not going to stick to the saran wrap or plastic wrap of any sort. and it goes in the oven to prove. Okay? So just right in. If you're using a proofing box or an oven that you can get down to 100 degrees, 110 degrees, you're looking for about 30 minutes on this proof. It's going to come up just a little higher than the lip of the pan. The next thing you'll do when it gets to that point is, I brought the ingredients out, and I don't know why now, because I'm not going to have an opportunity to do it, but we're going to make an egg wash. But it's not a water and egg, it's a milk and egg wash. Just mix those together like you were making scrambled eggs, and I just painted, right? And you can see how some of it drips down inside, either side, gets it nice and brown all over the place. So the reason you're using milk is because you want that extra fat that's in the milk, because it makes for a soft crust. If you're using water, the water would evaporate and you would get a crunchy crust, and you don't want that. But now here, dun, 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 is the unveiling. So why this is such a big thing. And so I haven't opened this, so I hope I did a good job this morning at 7 o'clock. But that is what we're wanting. So I'm happy with that. You see, you get flakes, and you can just peel this bread off in flakes. And then you can eat it. And we'll pass it around, and everybody can eat it. Chef Antoinette gets the first piece. Okay. Who's not happy? My mom is not happy. Not sure why. Oh. So I do want to show you, and I'm the first to admit when things aren't absolutely perfect, but the crumb is beautiful here. You see how beautiful that crumb is. And you can see the texture that we've created. But right here in the very center, it's still a little doughy. It's not raw at all, but it just has a little bit of doughiness to it right in the very center. And that was the edge piece. So the middle piece is probably a little bit more doughy, but this is perfectly edible. Don't worry about it. And like I said, what's really wonderful about this is you slice up 5 or 6 slices for yourself for breakfast, smear them with butter, put them in the toaster oven, on the toaster, and then brown them, and it's an absolutely delicious breakfast. I'm trying to think, the level of sweetness is not an American bread level of sweetness. It's maybe 10%, 15% sweeter, but it's not cloying because of the salt that we added to it. It's just absolutely delicious. And you should have smelled my car when I was driving here with it in a basket. It smelled so good. Your house is going to thank you. Your kids are going to thank you. Anyone that you share it with. What I'm going to be doing is waiting for the dough in the oven to rise. Now I'm going to bake it. It bakes at 350 degrees for 25 minutes. If you ever have any question about your dough being done, your bread being done, white bread, all-purpose flour, cake flour, bread flour, it is done at 190 degrees Fahrenheit. You don't have to guess. You don't have to do all those things that people do. Stick a thermometer in it. So stick it in the bottom, stick it in. I don't see if you can see the hole that I poked in it, but I temped this bread, so I knew that it was going to be done. So I didn't have, wasn't really that concerned. 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 to 30 minutes. This one baked at in conventional oven, no convection. It baked in about 25 minutes, and this was done. I didn't bake it any further than that. I think that's it. So enjoy your traditional mountain shaped Japanese milk bread. And tomorrow we are going to be doing for kids, but trust me, adults, you will want to be a part of this. We're doing donuts. We've had so many requests for donuts. We're doing the donuts. Okay. I think we're doing like voodoo style donuts. So it's chef, is it a baked or fried donut? It's a fried donut. Yes, we'll have to have your adults with you if there are kids watching right now. Oh, I got a thank you. Thank you. Who is this? Alicia, thank you so very much. So I wanted to give a shout out to my friend back in Maryland, Amanda. She's my Asian languages person that I go to when things are questionable, and she helped me with some ideas of this and where to look and how to pronounce, all those kind of good things. So thank you to her, and I hope that you and Ethan are watching and enjoy. So, and if you are interested in tipping for the work that we've done for you here, we do accept that. We have Zelle, we have PayPal, Venmo, all sorts of things. All that information will be posted, so you'll be able to find it. Go back. This will be posted on YouTube, Main Course Cooking School. Just go for a search. This will be posted. You can work along with it. You can see why I had to do things in the order that I had to do it. So, again, thank you guys so much. This was a lot of fun. I always love making bread, and any chance to make 2 loaves instead of 1 is sort of the best way. So thank you guys so much. I will see you guys next week. Bye.